Revolution Radio proudly presents, live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
I was thinking about, the idea of, maybe people aren't aware of the fact that there are ways to enhance the way that they're awakening, the awakening process. We talk about so many different levels of the awakening process, whether it be through, political means or spiritual means or, connecting with an extraterrestrial or channeling an angel, whatever it is. We all have different ways of going through this awakening experience, all the aha stuff that happens to us. And it just seems that we sometimes we forget the basics, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. And it's basically simple things that we can do in our day-to-day lives to enhance our awakening process, no matter what awakening you think that you're on, whether you're awakening to the NWO or the Illuminati, or if you're awakening to your higher self, you're awakening to your higher consciousness, to source wisdom, etc., etc. These are the types of things that I feel are at least important to give attention to. And the reason why I say this, and with that being said, actually, I'll say that I'm hoping that by the end of today's hour, you guys will have a clear idea of how we can be a little bit more conscious, live more consciously. What are we doing? So much of what we do throughout our day is remote control, automatic pilot, rushing here to the next thing, rushing to get to work, rushing, that we don't take the opportunity to look at what we're doing. What habits have we created for ourselves? How are we eating? How are we sleeping? How are we drinking? How are we sitting? How are we breathing? The basics, the foundation of our actual, lives, the foundation of what we do from a day-to-day, in a day-to-day way. So I'm calling today's talk, 8 Ways to Enhance Your Awakening. And if I have time, and I'll probably actually mix in a little bit more than 8, but these are some steps that I have found that I've taken in my life that have certainly made a big difference in the way that I am either more awake, more intuitive, more conscious, easier to see through the veil, so to speak, easier to see through corruption, easier to read people, easier to come up with answers to obstacles or problems. They're just for me. By taking these steps in my life, I found I'm happier, I have a clearer mind, I have the ability to make very difficult decisions and do them with courage and with forthright and integrity, and maintaining that integrity in my daily life. So let's talk about the first one that I'm going to touch on here, and this is a big one. And I know that everybody talks about it, and we see posts about it on Facebook and whatnot, but how many people really looked at the issue of fluoride and what fluoride is? What does it do to the body? So many people are like, oh, fluoride, bad, bad, bad. It's bad for your pineal gland. Okay, yes, it's bad for your pineal gland, but what else does it do? Why is it in the water? How much of fluoride am I taking? If I make sure that I'm not drinking fluoridated water, what about my shower or my bath? Am I leaching in fluoride through my skin, through my shower? What about my cooking? Am I cooking with fluoridated water? Is the beverages that I'm buying, which 99% of the beverages you buy, the first ingredient is water. Is that water fluoridated? So you can remove fluoride from your toothpaste, you can remove fluoride from your drinking water, but it's still going to get in. You're still ingesting it in small amounts or large amounts, depending on how much soda you drink or whatever. But that's a whole other dietary issue that's for another day. But let's talk about some of the health effects that fluoride does. Fluoride has been proven uh, to hurt you in many different ways, including bone fractures, brain effects, cancer, arthritis, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. It's an endocrine disruptor. It affects your gastrointestinal tract. It leads to hypersensitivity. It has been shown to lead to kidney disease. It affects male fertility, creates skeletal fluorosis. It can lead to thyroid disease, acute toxicity, and of course, the big one, which is what we're talking about here today, as far as awakening and our consciousness, it calcifies your pineal gland. Fluoride is a highly toxic substance. You know, and I know, and most of us know by now that it comes, it's a, what do you call that? A byproduct of the aluminum industry and other chemical industries. I have no idea why they decided they could start putting it in everybody's water. But as we know, and they're not just urban myths. Yes, fluoride has been known to be put in as an ingredient in prisons to keep people calmer. The same thing in the gulags, the Russian gulags. Fluoride was used to keep people more tame and more docile. So if we are going to live more consciously, if we are going to be more awake and more aware, we need to be aware of what we're putting into our body. And again, this may not necessarily be me just attacking fluoride. This is me bringing awareness to what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're putting on your body. Is there fluoride in that lotion? You know, is the water, the aqua, you know, in that body lotion, is that fluoridated? And then, of course, the big white elephant, or shall I say the big green dollar sign elephant in the room. How many of you are taking antidepressants? How many people in the United States are taking antidepressants? One of the major ingredients in most antidepressants is fluoride, a variation of fluoride, but it's still a fluoride. So you have to ask yourself, not only, okay, so now we're taking antidepressants, we're drinking fluoridated water, we're bathing in fluoridated water, we're brushing our teeth with fluoride. No wonder we can't think clearly. No wonder we can't have the clarity that we're seeking. No wonder we cannot live consciously within the moment. And no wonder we're in a state that we're in. Again, this is not going to be a political talk. Just be conscious of what you're putting in your body. If you are taking these type of antidepressants, see what you can do to get on. If you need them, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother show. To me, an antidepressant is needed in case of emergency. You're feeling suicidal? Fine. Take your antidepressants for 6 months. It's not meant to be for your whole life. And if you are taking them for your whole life, try to find one that doesn't have fluoride in it. Try to switch into another one that is not going to calcify your pineal gland. It's very funny. I see many people that are involved in the spiritual movement or involved in, whether you want to call it the light worker movement, the spiritual activist movement, this awakening movement that we call it, the truth-seeking movement, and they're all on antidepressants. How can we say that we're awake and we're conscious and we're living in love, not living in fear, and still be taking a fluoride-based antidepressant? Try to find one that's not. Try to find a natural alternative. By all means, go through your doctor. I'm not saying to go bone dry. That would be the worst thing you could do. It would make you even crazier. But see what you can to wean off of them and move into another. If you really, really need it. If the crisis is over, if it's been 3 years since you were divorced or 5 years since you lost your loved one or whatever it is, if that crisis is behind you and you're over it, it might be time to get off those antidepressants. Find another way. Find another way to be happy. And you'll learn that in today's talk, actually, or at least some ways. But again, get rid of the fluoride, reduce the fluoride intake. We're never going to get rid of all of it. I admit that. I like to drink store-bought beer. I'm not going to craft my own beer with non-fluoridated water. I'm sure it's probably fluoridated water in my store-bought beer, or whatever it is that we're drinking that we buy at the store. So harm reduction. Let's reduce the fluoride ingestion. It is not going to help you clarify and to be truly awake. If you think you're awake and you're taking and sucking up fluoride, you're not. That's the bottom line. That's the truth of it. And now with some things, some things change. And as we move through our awakening process, we're going to change our opinions about certain things. And quite honestly, I have changed a little bit of my opinion on this next one. The idea of cooking in a microwave, I for years, I wouldn't even want to get near it. And I still will not cook in a microwave. As we know, a microwave oven does heat the food from the inside. It uses radiation. I've seen microwaves where the doors open even when it's running. You never know unless you have a radiation detector. Your old microwave is probably oozing out, radiation for all you know. So right there is a good reason not to have a microwave oven and not to use a microwave oven. I personally like to use a toaster oven to reheat things. I find toaster ovens save energy. Even if I'm cooking, if it's one or two portions, I'm saving energy by using a toaster oven. Reheating meals, toaster ovens work really fast. I mean, it's a tiny little box, gets really hot really quick. You can reheat your meal, maybe not as fast as a microwave oven, but you can still reheat You can reheat your meal rather quickly. Be aware of your microwave. Are you aware of how old it is? How old is your microwave? Is it 15 years old? Does the front door not lock? Have you had it checked? Is there radiation coming out of through your pores because of it? There's a reason why people with pacemakers should not be near a microwave. It's not a healthy gadget to have in the home. Be aware of it. And again, this is about awareness. How conscious are you? How awake are you to the things that are around you? Are you aware of your microwave? How's your microwave doing? Are you cooking too much in it? The reality of it is if you're eating microwave food, that food has been processed to heck. That is processed food with tons of ingredients that are probably not very good for you. The reality of it is that a microwave meal has plenty of preservatives. God knows how old it is. It's best to just cook a meal, bake a potato in the toaster oven for 40 minutes. How hard is it? Get home from work, throw a couple potatoes in the oven, let them get hot, throw some cheese and bacon or whatever it is you want on there. Cooking is not that hard. People make it sound like, oh, I've got to cook. Get home, throw something in the oven, go about your business, get undressed, take care of the kids, whatever. By the time you're done with that, your meal that's in your regular oven will be ready. How hard is it to boil pasta? You don't need to eat microwaved food. It's disgusting. I mean, now, yeah, sure, they taste a little bit better, but the reality of it is it's not healthy to do so over and over and over and over again. Being aware of what you're doing. How does this affect your consciousness? Well, the reality of it is, as I said, those microwave meals are going to have preservatives, are going to have high fructose corn syrup, are going to be less nutritional than the food that you were going to make yourself if you were to make it using a conventional oven or on the stovetop or the toaster oven. Our nutrition has a lot to do with our brain power. Think about it. The healthier, the more vitamins you're getting in your body, your brain is going to work that much better. The better your brain is working, the better your pineal gland is going to function. The more alertness you're going to have, the more aware you're going to have, the less sleepy you're going to be throughout your day. If we want to live consciously, let's think about all of these products, all of these ingredients that are being put into our body and how they're being affected on a molecular level in the way that we are cooking. Now, that's not to say, and I've been doing research over the years because, quite honestly, sometimes I don't want to wait 10 minutes to reheat last night's leftovers. I will throw them in the microwave for 2 minutes or whatever. I have been doing research, and quite honestly, they're pretty. Everyone, the scientific community, has never not really come to a conclusion on the use of the microwave. Some say it's no different than boiling your food. I personally feel my gut tells me if I'm radioactively steaming my food, there's something wrong with that versus steaming my food on a stovetop. Again, it's just the convenience. Which brings us to I'll call this 2.5 of 8 ways to enhance your awakening. Convenience. How addicted are you to convenience? Whether it be the microwave food, whether it be takeout, fast food, whether it be getting everything done as fast as possible and keeping everything as simple and easy without making any effort so you don't have to think. Notice what I just said at the end there. So you don't have to think. So we can go on automatic pilot, not be aware of what we're doing throughout our day. Everything's just done for us. We don't have to think about anything. And I'm not saying that convenience is a bad thing. I believe in having things to run. I believe in having things running smoothly, operate, you know, everything in its place in my home. I know where everything is. I can get things done rather quickly. I'm pretty organized when it comes to that kind of stuff. Having things run smoothly and keeping things flowing nicely and smoothly is not necessarily what I mean by convenience. I mean lazy convenience. There's a difference between lazy convenience and operational sound convenience in the way that we run our lives. So think about how lazy you are when it comes to certain things. Think about how lazy we are as a society. The good news is I'm seeing that McDonald's stock has gone down. They're going to be closing a lot of their stores, but unfortunately, I don't know if that's because people aren't eating fast food or it's because there are other fast food chains that are doing better that have now become a hindrance to the McDonald's stock price. But operationally, if you know how to run things smoothly and you can organize things great, that's fine. That's fine. The idea of having a great system in place that makes your life easier, that's great. But the idea of struggling to make your life convenient is a distraction. It is a distraction to struggle to make your life convenient. Oh, I have to get the microwave meal, and so I can put it in the microwave. By the time you get to the store to buy the microwave meal, stick it in the microwave. You could have, I don't know, roasted a chicken breast in 35 minutes, in that time. So think about your convenience. Are you addicted to convenience? Are you addicted to making your life easier? Again, there's nothing wrong with having an easy life. I think I have a very easy life. I work my butt off. I work, 10, 12 hours a day, not only for myself, for my community and around with other charities. But the reality of it is, I do feel I have an easy life. Do I cook from scratch? 70% of the time. But I have time for it. It's not a burden. I actually enjoy it. I love cooking. I think it's a meditation. It gets me away from my office. It gets me away from all the projects that I have going on. It's a break. Going in the kitchen and getting creative, and even if it's a recipe book, using a recipe. But again, the point I'm trying to make here is think about your microwave. Be aware of your microwave. Be aware how it's functioning. Be aware of the ingredients of those microwave meals that you're eating. Be aware of your addiction to convenience. Be aware of areas of your life that you can run a little more smoother without getting all caught up in, oh, it has to be done now. It has to be done now. It has to be done now. It doesn't have to be done now. You're going to be fine. Boy, I don't know if I'm going to have time to finish all of these, but I'm going to jump in here right now and and move on to number 3 is to buy bottled water. Again, convenience. Don't buy it. Buy a freaking faucet-mounted filter and refill the same bottle over and over. Those bottles that you have sitting in your trunk, all that stuff is leaching into the water, and God knows how long that water's been sitting in that on that pallet in the back of a warehouse or in the back of a truck in the hot sun. Do yourself a favor. If you can get a non-fluoridated filter for your sink, that's great. If not, I don't like to do brands, but I will say Culligan probably has one of the best fluoride removal for a non-reverse osmosis one. Get a faucet-mounted filter. Refill the same bottle. Be aware of what you're doing. Why are you drinking water why are you paying for water when you got water in your sink and you can buy a filter for $25? You know, why are you adding to the debris of the planet? Plastic is not that, sustainable. It's made from petroleum. We talk about how much we dislike the petroleum companies. We talk about how much we dislike, the petrodollar and the world economy and the NWO and the banking system. It all runs on petroleum. But meanwhile, we're out there buying petroleum-based plastic bottles of water. If you don't like plastics, if you don't like petroleum, if you really do want to be aware of what you're doing and putting in your body, get yourself a mounted filter. Get yourself a refillable bottle, and there you go. You saved a ton of money. You're being more aware. You're helping the planet. You're helping to take down the petro system. You're helping to stop the international banks by having them perpetuate all this plastic on us. It's a good thing. We'll be right back after this.
And now, back to your host, Bernard Alvarez.
And welcome back to the Just Bernard Show here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I've been going off on fluoride and a couple other things, but quite honestly, the reality of this talk today is to hopefully bring us into a little bit more awareness of our day-to-day conscious routines, to become more conscious of our routines, of the ingredients we're putting into our body. And of course, by doing so, we are going to enhance our awakening. There's something to be said with being aware of our words, our thoughts, and our actions when it comes to enhancing the awakening process. No matter what level you're on, no matter what awakening path you're on, whether it be political, whether it be spiritual, everything that I'm talking about today have to do with both. They can be taken politically and or spiritually and energetically, how it affects your spiritual energy. So with that being said, let's move right on. We're running out of time. I can't believe I've only done 3, but I think we can get 5 in here. Let's talk about our television. Yeah, of course. Everyone's always talking about throwing away your TV. I am a big supporter of getting rid of the television. And there's a reason for that. I'm not against watching a TV show on Netflix. Hell, I'm one of those, what do you call a Netflixer, addict or whatever. I'll watch a whole series, 12 episodes of, what was that, Orange is the New Black or something. There's nothing wrong with being entertained. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a good program that you consciously choose. I consciously want to watch, what's the guy right now, the blind superhero that's really big right now. I love that show. That's a great show, the Marvel superhero guy. But the reality of it is that when you have your television on and you've got, 200, 300 channels now, I don't even know. I haven't had a television in 7 or 8 years now, and I haven't had cable even longer than that. But you're flicking around. You're just looking for something to grab your attention. It's like, please, something, grab my attention. Either that or it's on in the background. And when we're not watching something consciously, what happens? What happens to our brain? Your subconscious picks up on everything. Example, if you have a television on, and I know people that do this, I had a friend of mine that drove me crazy. She had Fox News on 24/7, whether she's cooking, whether she's cleaning, whether she's out in the yard, whether she's doing laundry, you could hear Fox News going through her house. And what does that do? It goes into the subconscious brain. Do you know how hard it is to clean up your subconscious? You know how many years of therapy it takes, how much meditation work it takes, how much energy and focus it takes to remove subconscious traumas or crises. So imagine all this information, and if you want to call it information, um, not by your choice, not information that you've consciously chosen, but conscious that you're feeding subconsciously through your choice of not wanting to turn off the television. They call it programming for a reason, and I know that's a cliche, but that's the reality of it. It's programming. It's to get you to buy that latest product. It's to get you all hopped up, to get your central nervous system all upset or excited or desiring something or wanting something or needing some type of relief or as far as the commercials are concerned, everyone's depressed and needs Botox, you know. And yes, I said that on purpose. Hulu has this thing about Botox commercials. I don't know what that's all about. But do you really want to feed your brain with that? You know, being vigilant of what you expose your senses to is a very, very big part of this. Being vigilant of being consciously vigilant of what you allow your senses to be exposed to is a big part of being an awakened human being, of having consciousness, of living in consciousness. The reality of it is that these programs are designed to A, distract you from your daily life, which is fine. We all deserve entertainment. We all deserve distraction. But it's the sponsors, it's the writing behind it, it's the innuendo behind it, it's the subtle subliminal message within the storylines, within the advertisements, within the marketing behind this that really does not lead to a more conscious, stable, or happier life. So if you want to be more aware, if you want to enhance your awakening, throw away your TV. There is no reason to have a TV nowadays. No reason. If you want to watch something, you can watch it online. I know you can watch if you're a sports person, but that's a whole other issue. I'm not big on the whole sports mentality. I think that's another distraction. But if you want sports, you can get it online. You want to watch soap operas, you can get it online. You want to watch, I don't know, the latest drama, the latest superhero show like I do, you can watch it on Netflix or Hulu or CBS.com or whatever. And you don't, a majority of the time, you don't have to deal with the advertisements. If you probably have to pay a couple dollars, but it's a lot cheaper than paying. I don't even know how much cable is nowadays. What is it, like $80 a month or something? Get rid of the cable. Get rid of the television. There's no need for it. It's not healthy. Choose your programming. Yeah, fine. Be entertained, but choose it. Don't let it choose you. Don't channel surf. Don't leave the TV on in the background. And I hope I wanted to jump in here a little bit with the whole iPhone smartphone situation, and I can basically say the same for that. Um, that's become a very big problem, and that actually could be a whole show in itself. I could probably list you 100 reasons why iPhone addiction is the worst thing when it comes to living a conscious life. Looking down at a small screen, not looking up at the stars, not looking up at the sky, not looking up in front of you. How many times have you almost hit someone at the grocery store because they're busy walking out in front of your car, staring down at their screen? How many times have you been busy staring down at your screen and you tripped over something as you're walking? It's a distraction. There's no reason to be walking and multitasking with that thing. It's not necessary. That comes from a fear of missing out, that you're missing out on something. And again, that comes from fear. Fear is not love. Fear is not awakening. Fear is not consciousness. Fear of missing out on something is subscribing to the fact that your life is not whole, that your life is not complete. If you are addicted to looking at your iPhone screen or your smartphone screen, I would highly suggest get yourself a regular old track phone. You want a cell phone? Sure, I have a cell phone. I need it once in a while if I'm out somewhere and I need to get a hold of a friend. Get a regular cell phone. There's no reason why we can't have the convenience of a cell phone. But the whole idea that you have to constantly be up to date with every message. You know, when I answer emails, when I feel like answering emails. You know, when I return an instant message, when I feel like returning an instant message. Take control of your life. Take control of your consciousness. Do not be reactive. You hear a little bleep, it doesn't mean you have to jump. Not to mention, it's extremely rude to the people that you're around. So television, iPhones, be aware of these things. This has to do with mental consciousness, with being awake, being aware. You want to enhance your awareness. You want to be awake. You say you're living awake. I highly suggest you take steps to curb the use of a smartphone and get rid of your television. Just get rid of it. There's no need for it. It's a waste of time, a waste of money. The next one I want to talk about, and this is a very big one, a lot of people, again, are addicted to this identity. And I think that's where this next one comes in. Leaving party politics behind. Become a staunch independent. What does that mean? Well, from a metaphysical point of view, it has to do with identity, that you identify yourself. Your ego identifies with Democrat, Republican, Green, Libertarian, or even independent for that matter. It has to do with your identity and having to have that mob mentality that we all think the same. You know, oh, well, Republicans think like that, or Democrats think like that, or conservatives think like that, or liberals think like that. Throw that away. Throw that language away. You don't need it anymore. We're in the 21st century. It's all become very clear, very evident. Every liberal, every conservative, most actions have been bought and paid for by the banking system, by Wall Street, by big money, by corporate interests. It has nothing to do with party politics anymore. And if you are still living in the 1950s and 60s and thinking that party politics makes a difference, it doesn't. It's ridiculous to think that if you're going to vote for a Republican, they're going to have the same values as you do. Or if you're going to vote for a Democrat or a liberal or a conservative, that they're going to have the same values as you do. Nobody gets to the top. No one gets to a place of a senator or a president or whatever it is, even a governor most of the time, without playing politics and really compromising their integrity and being a power broker. They got there because they were either groomed, or the reality of it is that they've made backroom deals in order for them to be embraced by their particular party. It has nothing to do about their constituency anymore. When was the last time we saw a president or a governor or a senator or any politician do something in the best interest of the people? I mean, besides this whole pandering, and I do call it pandering, as an LGBT person, I find what the White House is doing to the gay community offensive, and it's just called plain old pandering. So besides pandering to the equal rights movement and pandering to the LGBT rights movement, what else have they done? Nothing for the actual people. Where are we living now? Where is our economy? How much money are you making? You know, have things gotten better? Has war, have they pulled back on war? Have they pulled back on military spending? Have they pulled back on invading our privacy and enhancing their security? Have they done anything for the people? Neither party has, neither idealism has, neither conservative nor liberal. So get rid of the party politics, become a staunch independent, think for yourself, stop getting behind the lies, and stop playing the divisive game. So I might believe in a liberal issue on one thing, you might believe in a liberal issue in one thing, I might believe in a conservative issue in one thing, you might believe in a conservative issue in one thing. We may not always agree, But it doesn't mean I have to dislike you. It doesn't mean we are not one human family. It does not mean that we have to play the divisive game of politics. Get over it. It's done. We've been hoodwinked. They've stolen it. It's no longer ours. If you want to change it from the bottom up. It's not going to happen from the top down. It's not. Speaking of bought and paid for, the news. Really, people are still posting Fox News. People are still sharing CNN. People are still embracing Rachel Maddow. I mean, really, really, these people who have been bought, paid for, and are following a true divisive party line script. It's the same script over and over again. The conservatives did that. The liberals did that. The Democrats did that. The Republicans did that. It's the same script over and over and over again. How long has this abortion thing been going around? Really? Really? How long? And we're still falling for the divisive nature of it? How long has civil rights, gay rights, racial rights, racial tension, how long have they been promoting this in the news, and how long have we been falling for it? The reality of it is, and you know and I know, most of these mainstream cycles are for ratings. They will always do, what's it called? If it bleeds, it leads. Get over the mainstream news. Get your information from independent news sources. There is absolutely no reason why in today's day and age you should bother clicking on MSNBC or Fox, or for that matter, at this point, I'm sorry, Alex Jones has become mainstream in my eyes. Another divisive, party-pushing, conservative divider. There is plenty of independent news resources out there. A great example, Revolution Radio. How many of us here at Revolution Radio find like the obscure article and share it with you, don't we? So many of us are aware of things that are going on around the world that mainstream news would never touch on. So many of us are aware of what's going on in the United States that mainstream news would never touch on. You've got plenty of alternative news sources and independent news sources right here on Revolution Radio, as well as other independent news people. I happen to like Tim Pool. I don't know if you remember Tim Pool from Occupy. I believe he's on Vice News now. Vice is pretty good. Vice is a pretty good news, independent news source. Yes Magazine. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Yes. Very good, very independent. Brings up stuff you would never hear from other organizations, from corporate organizations. So, as we're moving out of party politics, as we're moving away from corporate media, now here's going to be the clincher. Organized religion. Be very aware of what organized religion does. Again, it feeds the ego identity, this identity that I was raised this way, I have to believe this way, these are my people, these are my community, but what that does, and I'm not saying there isn't a place for organized religion. I understand there might be a time and a place, and maybe for some people it's a community, but the reality of it is that it is very limiting to your consciousness. It limits your consciousness of what your beliefs are supposed to be, of what your morals and ethics are supposed to be. I have nothing against, what is it Mahatma Gandhi said, I have nothing against your Christ, it's your Christians I have a problem with. Personal spirituality is the way I look at it. I love creating my own not creating my own beliefs, aligning with what I feel is real. I happen to align more with Native American or pagan or whatever you want to call it. I see the beautiful sun, I see the beautiful trees, I see nature. To me, that's God everywhere. I feel the energy, I feel the love. I see good acts in people, I see the goodness in people. That's my religion. Love is my religion. Nature is my religion. When we get caught up in this idea of, well, my pastor said this, or my priest said that, or my rabbi said that, you're just saying, well, I'm not thinking, so I'm just going to repeat what the pastor's telling me. I don't think for myself, so I'm just going to keep repeating what the rabbi said. I'm not going to think for myself. I'm going to keep repeating what the imam said. That's no way of being conscious and no way of enhancing your awakening. Forget about organized religion. If you need to go with your family to make them happy, then fine, go. But if you're aligning your identity with that, you're limiting your growth, you're limiting your own awakening process, you're limiting your own consciousness. So be very aware of that. Again, there is a time, there's a place, again, there's some truth to all religion, and I think we shared something about it yesterday. It's when people take the metaphor and take it seriously and define themselves by the metaphor that we get all this divisiveness. I mean, to think that there's still, Catholics against Christians. It's like, well, aren't you all the same religion? From the outside looking in, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the 21st century. It's time we move beyond organized religion. It's time that we develop our own sense of personal spirituality and identify with our own true divinity that is a part of us, that we are all a part of. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter what religion you were raised in. You are a divine being. Everyone is. We are all equal in that way. If you want to get religious about it, we can say we are all equal in the eyes of God. And when an organization tells you you're not, you got to run. You got to run the other way. And then last but not least, let me talk about that personal spirituality and the reality of the brain. How does the brain work? How do we enhance our awakening? I firmly believe in meditation. Now, you're going to say, oh, Lord, here he goes with a meditation thing. I don't mean sitting in a corner cross-legged, lighting incense and sitting there for an hour being completely quiet. Meditation can be as simple as taking a mental break throughout your day. Just taking a deep breath, calming your mind, letting your mind get quiet. That's all it has to be. Let your mind get quiet. Take mental breaks throughout the day. Demand to take mental breaks throughout the day. If you are living a lifestyle where you don't have time to think, you're not living. You're merely reacting. That is not awakening. That is not consciousness. And that's no way to live. You're a slave. That's slavery. Living in a reactive way is slavery. You must live a life where you have the opportunity to quiet your mind for a few moments, take a mental break, no matter how you do it. Take a walk, take a few deep breaths, hang out with your cat or your dog and just pet them for a little while. But taking time out from the go, 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 from the stream of thinking. I call meditation going to the place between the thoughts. Get to that place where the thoughts can finally slow down and your brain shuts up. Even if it's for 1 minute, you will find you will feel so much better. It will change your entire perspective of life. You will begin to enhance your awakening. You will begin to live more consciously. You'll be able to make better decisions. You'll be more aware of what you're putting in your body. You'll be more intuitive as to what is healthy for you. You'll be living happier, clearer. You'll have more integrity. What more could you ask for? Take a few moments every day. Quiet your mind. Take a deep breath. Just take a break every day. And there you go. You just meditated. You quieted your mind and you took a breath. That's all you have to do. Anyway, we're running out of time here, so I want to thank you all for listening today. This was the 8 ways to enhance your awakening consciousness talk. Next week, I want to let you know I'm very excited to have from Ancient Aliens and from other wonderful series, Brian Forrester is going to be joining me live here on Revolution Radio at 2 p.m. Eastern Time again next week. For those of you, I think we've had Brian Forrester on. I'm not sure if he was here on Revolution with me, but we've had him on before. He's a great guest. You're going to love him. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We love you. See you. Bye-bye.